You're listening to the Surgeons of Horror podcast. Hello, welcome to the Surgeons of Horror podcast, and we are about to launch into one of our yearly voted best horror film podcasts. The subject obviously being 2015. If you've read the label on the tin, you know that the winner of this current podcast was Sinister 2. Interesting that it was a sequel that would leap itself into the top of the pile of the list as voted by you, the public that follow us on Surgeons of Horror. Before we dive into that, I should probably introduce myself. My name is Saul Muerte, the lead host of the podcast, and I'm joined for this current discussions by Anthony, the Big Cheese Yee.
Sinister, Sinister 2, Sinister, Sinister 2.
It's all a little bit sinister.
Sinister 2.
It's all a little bit sinister. Someone get me the Prime Minister. It's all a little bit sinister.
Sinister 2.
Yeah.
I think Richard picked up this pattern, but I think we basically have to sing a brand new theme song to every movie we review.
I think we have to, yeah, I think it's good.
But I tend to go to the Love Boat theme.
Is that what it was? I don't know what I was doing.
It's Sinister, Sinister 2.
In my defence, I'm a couple of glasses of red wine in, so I'm kind of on that buzz state of mind. So it's buzz. I'm on the buzz. Okay, so yeah, Sinister 2. Before we kind of delve into why that's been voted the number one.
Why voted for that?
Well, why people would vote for that? I should probably even the podcast listeners that are new to the Surgeons of Horror podcast. This is just something that I've been throwing together for this current year to look back on the 2010s and have people voting for their best or what they believe would be the best film of that particular year. And we've had a few instances along the way of that. And the first one was a tough one for Miles and I to talk through because it was the remake of I Spit on Your Grave, which neither of us were particularly fans of. But we went there. We went there for the sake of you, the fans that have kind of or the listeners that have put it out there and said that was their favourite film of 2010. So I should probably kind of here. Look, here's the thing. I said this to you just slightly off record before we hit the record button. That I felt 2015 was a little bit of a weak year for horror. It has to be said.
What were some of the movies?
So I actually put about 15 out there, and I probably could have done a lot less than that, to be honest. But of the 15, there was Wreck Apocalypse, which was the fourth installment of the Wreck series. Yeah. And there's one reason to like that film. And and then there was The Woman in Black 2, Angel of Death, which was where the Hammer horror franchise was trying to levy off the success of their first film without much success. We had Knock Knock, the Eli Roth directed film starring Keanu Reeves, which was okay, but not brilliant.
I saw that. That's a home invasion film.
Yeah. So there were moments of it that were okay, but there were other moments of it that were incredibly weak. And we had the Hello, which was Bojana Novakovic. Is that right? I want to say Australian kind of actress who is actually pretty good, I have to say. And so it was one of those movies that probably punched above its belt because it had her in it and the dude that played I can't remember his name, but Cold Fingers.
Oh, the Irish one, yeah.
Irish dude, yeah.
Yeah, that was alright.
Yeah, it was okay. It was okay, but was it brilliant? Not really.
Bojana Novakovic, yeah, she's stunning.
Novakovic, yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
And we also had the Lazarus Effect.
Yes, that stars the guy from Creep.
Oh, does it?
But it was his first, because of Creep, he got this Lazarus Effect, which is a bit more budget. But at the time, I only saw Lazarus Effect for the first time, so I'm like, who the fuck's this guy?
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be good enough to attract Olivia
Wilde.
Wilde. And you got to go, yeah, as if. So their brother and girlfriend, yeah, sure, yeah, sure.
So we also had The Final Girls, which was a bit of a low budget kind of.
That was
film.
good. I thought that might have won because it's got comedy in there. It's kind of a clever idea-ish.
Yeah, but again, it's not brilliant though. That's the thing. Like, there's a lot of like movies that as I go through the list, a lot of them are just okay films, you know, and that's why I felt like this year wasn't really massive. And then we had Maggie, which was the Arnie kind of flick.
The vampire one with what's the name from Zombieland?
Yes.
Yeah, was that? Did you see that? Was it good?
No, I haven't seen it. Which says a lot. And then we get Victor Frankenstein with James McAvoy in the lead for that one.
Is that about Frankenstein?
It is, yeah. Then we get Krampus, which I kind of liked. Christmas
Is
kind
that
of horror
about
film.
Krampus?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, no.
Which I know that a friend of yours said it was shit.
Good friend of mine, Charlie Clinton. Shout out there.
And he actually
Charlie
dresses up
listens
as
to-
Krampus, doesn't he? So that...
Yeah, he plays a Krampus. He plays a Krampus for Netherworld, which is the second largest haunted house tourist attraction in all the United States of America.
Big plug.
Big plug.
Big plug.
And he plays the Krampus, which is one of the leading attractions as you go through the car park. He's in the car park interacting with the audiences, and he's done news live crosses. He's really, really huge.
Yep.
And he really hated the Krampus because after playing the Krampus for so many years, he felt he owned
yeah.
Very, very, but I thought the Krampus was okay.
Yeah, look, it's alright again. Like, it's done enough to have spawned freaking loads of other ones as well. So like,
yeah, exactly.
But
also, his girlfriend has a Germanic background. And I think Krampus came from Germany, so she was a bit disappointed about it. Anyway, Charlie does listen to this podcast, and no doubt he will come away saying, "You guys need to do your research." Well, why do research when you just talk about shit off the cuff?
Yeah. What he said.
That's what he thinks you do research. You know, he says I don't, and then he's right.
Okay, and then we get the Vatican tapes, which was one of these kind of
that sounds found footage.
Yeah. Then we get The Gift, which
we will do a podcast on found footage horror.
Yeah, I'm waiting on you, man. I'm waiting on you.
Yeah.
You're the found footage horror king.
Yes.
So I'm kind of waiting on you on that one.
Yeah. That's my bad.
No, it's not. It's not your bad. I mean, it is, but you know. And then we get The Gift, which isn't the Katie Holmes one with Kate Blanchett one.
You were going, shit, I've got to add something here that kind of works. Because it wasn't horror, but it was good psychological horror. It was a good film.
Yes. Yeah, it was alright. Yeah.
By Joel Edgerton.
By Joel, another Aussie. That's the other reason I had to put it in there, really. Come on.
Yeah. True.
And then we get The Visit, which was the...
who's that one again?
It's the M. Night Shyamalan. Another bound for the horror. Yeah.
Two Australian kids who are playing Americans, and they're very good.
Yeah, that's the one.
That actually was his road to redemption. Because in that sense, I thought that's not a bad.
Yeah.
But for somebody who's he's obviously, because he had so many fucking failures. The only way he can get another Hollywood film made is if he did a cheap one, which found footage is cheap, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't. I thought he got the conventions of the best elements. When found footage is told well, there's certain things you follow, and I think he followed pretty well. The only thing he fell down was the plot twist, which anybody who had half a brain can figure out what the plot twist was.
Yeah.
Which was, and not at one point had these kids who've never met their grandparents verified that these were their grandparents.
Yes.
Which I remember I had some friends on Facebook who were totally blindsided by the stunning twist, and other people like Ben Skinner going, "How did you not see that coming?" And I must admit, I was one of them. I was like, "Come on, guys, we know what it is." And even then, I still enjoyed it. I was still like, "Yeah, it's still."
Yeah. It was a good little movie. Again, was it brilliant? Probably not, but it was alright. Then we get Crimson Peak, which was the
that's the sequel to Crimson Tide with Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman.
Oh my god, that just killed me. Yes, you're right. It is the sequel, but
I think they literally go, "What's a submarine doing on the top of a mountain?"
yeah. And why is it red? Who painted my submarine red and stuck it on top of a mountain? It's the is it Guillermo or Guillermo? How do you pronounce his first name? Anyways, it's the Del Toro kind of movie with Loki.
It's pretty low key.
A bit low key. What's his name? Tom Hiddleston, and it was like a gothic kind of film, and I thought it was shit.
It was Chastain being his sister, and they've got a weird sexual relationship. Blah blah blah.
It was just a crap. I mean, I know there were people out there that actually dug it, but I didn't. I thought it was crap. And then we bow out on the 15th of that one of the list, which was Paranormal Activity Ghost Dimension, of which I can only look to you, Big Cheese.
Was that the one with the girl who's now gone on to bigger things because she was in Pokemon, Detective Pokemon Environmental? I didn't realise it was her. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that makes you remark about the movie, because I was like,
right.
I thought she was kind of good in that film.
Right.
Sort of.
I have not watched it because I think Paranormal Activity is shit.
The first one, good idea. The first one was fresh first time.
The first one is shit.
Yeah. Heath Ledger's Batman was a shit movie.
All right, you got me on that one. You got me on that. Yeah. How genius is that to do a film about Batman without Batman in it?
Without Batman, fucking smart.
It's like Doctor Who without the Doctor in it. So Sinister 2 is the one that won.
Sinister
2. Look, we obviously need to talk about Sinister first before we can talk about Sinister 2.
Yes.
And we can probably do that in a nutshell. As in, like, you know, it starred Ethan Hawke.
Yes.
And Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yes. And the premise is, to me, the premise,
and it is a Blumhouse Pictures as well. I should probably so Blumhouse are the people that own the property.
The premise of it was, when I heard about it, I felt this is The Ring, but even older technology. So instead of VHS things and VHS tapes, let's use 16mm film.
Yep, I agree. And radio broadcasting as well.
Yeah,
the radio waves.
Seeing the trailer, I was like, this looks pretty generic.
Yeah.
And then a working colleague of mine at a place where he used to work, cynical Irishman, Darren, if you're out there, he said he saw it, and then he said he had to switch it off halfway through in the middle of the night. Darren's a massive horror fan.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a big wussy either, but he found one moment of it pretty scary. And so I was like, okay, that intrigued me, so I'll try and look at it.
Oh.
And I did watch it late at night one night, and I was like, no, I kind of see how, if you're not a massive horror fan, that this is kind of creepy and unsettling. And it verges a little bit on torture porn.
Yes.
And so that's why it's a bit, because the premise of it is in a nutshell, this demon called Ghoul. What's his name?
Ghoul.
Ghoul. Tries to get kids to kill their family.
Yeah.
And you get it, as a kid, you record the murder on a 16mm film, and then this 16mm film canister goes inside this trunk with other film canisters, because somehow it magically processes all the film that you shoot. So this, putting Kodak out of business and so on.
Yes.
And then this trunk, it appears along with this spirit that whispers in the kids' ear, telling them to kill their family in another house. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going, go on, do it. Come on.
Yeah, go on.
You know you want
it. And the key is, it's got to be a kid that wouldn't normally do it, right? The kid has to be an innocent or something.
Yeah, it was like supposedly the weakest member of the family, isn't it? It's the one that has a disability of some kind.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not meaning like a physical disability.
Yeah, but that's somebody who would be isolated. If you were to try, as you know how ISIS operates, terror cell operates.
Yeah, that's right.
You take the kid who feels most like the outsider. Or
Yeah.
It hasn't got the positive reinforcement in his life or her life.
Yeah.
And then convince him to do it that way. So, and the twist, not so much of a twist, but the interesting thing about that film is that it doesn't have a happy ending. Because Ethan Hawke dies, or the kid wins, or something. Is that true? I can't remember now.
No, they all die.
Yeah, the demon wins.
Yeah.
And kills the family, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Boom.
Yeah, that's right. So do you remember when? So when did you first watch Sinister?
I think it was the year it came out.
Yeah.
When it came out on video.
So I remember hearing about it and never getting around to watching it. And the first time I saw it was with Mr. Miles Davies at the horror movie camp out.
Right.
In Sydney. So it was out in the open on a big screen. And it was the last of the two movies, I think. I think the first one they showed us was the Hills Have Eyes remake, and then they kind of followed it up with Sinister, and I came out going, yeah, I dug it, I liked it. I thought it was a suitably unnerving film, with enough in there to keep you intrigued. I thought it was actually really well shot. And I thought it was a well put together horror film. So I was kind of intrigued with Sinister 2. Again, I hadn't seen it prior to the list that went out for this, and so as I saw it was leading, or it kept oscillating between a couple of them. And as I saw that it was leading it, and I thought, and it looked like it was going to win, I was like, so I'm probably going to have to check this movie out. And so that was kind of my entry into Sinister 2. But my impression of Sinister was that it was an okay movie, and I kind of like Vincent D'Onofrio's unhinged professor character as well. I thought he was kind of interesting. It's a shame he's not in this one. I thought
none of the actors from the first film are in this one.
No, that's not correct. Deputy so and so.
He is okay. So
is the only character that remains. Yeah.
So he was in the first film. I'm trying to remember. Was he a friend of Ethan Hawke's character?
He was the one that. So where Ethan Hawke had set up with his family, Deputy so and so was the deputy of that town,
right.
And he was the only one that believed Ethan Hawke had something of a vein of truth in what he was uncovering, and he was the one. Deputy so and so was the one that actually went and had a chat with Vincent D'Onofrio, the professor.
Yeah.
So that so I found that was kind of interesting that he was the character in it, because he's a bit of a weird, quirky kind of character. Kind of reminded me a little bit of David Arquette in Scream, Dewey, but without being too much of a doofus, but just that kind of quirky, kind of odd detective character, you know. So he's actually played by James Ransom, who has recently cropped up in the It Chapter 2 film as Ben.
Yes.
Oh, not as Ben. Sorry, as Eddie.
As Eddie. He's in. Yeah. So it was weird. Like I was saying to you off camera before, I'd never seen this guy before. Obviously, I'd seen him in Sinister. Completely forgot about him.
Yep.
Saw Sinister 2 for research for this podcast. The next day, saw It 2.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, that's the same dude. So yeah, he's really good as Eddie in It 2.
Yeesh.
Very good. He's got the mannerisms and the voice fluctuations of the kid Eddie. So that's why you think. Okay,
he was able to kind of carry it. I hear that a lot about the. I've yet to see it. I'm about to see it at the time of this record. But I have read that was the one thing people said was good, is that the older actors did very well at mimicking their younger selves.
They did. Although the interesting thing about
for some reason
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richie.
Yeah,
He plays
yeah.
Richie.
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader. He actually said he did no research whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, he saw the film twice.
Yeah.
And that was it. So he was like, but he decided, well, he just become a different person when you get older, so stuff it.
Yeah.
But he is very good.
I saw a thing online where he's talking with James McAvoy in one of these press junkets, and he said about he was talking to James McAvoy in the lead up, in the rehearsals and stuff, and James McAvoy was referencing something within the book, and Bill Hader said, well, I've not actually read the book, and then apparently James McAvoy went, well, I've read the book. As in, you should have read it. So you just felt really bad.
Have you done your homework?
Dog ate my book.
Yeah, sure. No, the thing is, if those who listen to the podcasts of Surgeon Horror, we've done when the first It movie came out.
Yeah.
In an extensive podcast, you, me, Greer, and Richard.
Yeah.
And you can tell if you listen to the pod, we did the listening whilst watching, and then we did the analysis of the first film.
Yes.
And as you can tell in that podcast, I'm the one person out of all four of us who has no idea what's going on. Didn't read the book. Didn't watch the original miniseries except once in the 90s. Couldn't follow who. I didn't know who you're talking about with all 7 names. And all 7 years. Greer is like an academic scholar knowing every one of the motivations.
Yeah, I was impressed with Greer's knowledge on that. Yeah.
Who's what? Who's Bill? Who's what? So, anyway. Yes. Anyway, so we just talked about It 2 for a bit, so that's good.
Yeah, we're puffing this one out, aren't we? All right, let's look at Sinister 2. I get the hint. Because what's interesting is that we are picking up, as we said, with Detective so-and-so, and he is continuing his investigations into where Ethan Hawke had left off. And he's essentially going around discovering these houses that have these the cult kind of symbol that's painted on there that had a history of being connected to this Ghoul demon, and he's essentially burning the houses down. And we do hear that he has burnt down the house that Ethan Hawke and his family lived in too, and he got arrested and kicked off his job, so he's no longer a deputy anymore. He's now a private investigator because of it. Sorry.
But the kids kill the family. What happens to the kids afterwards? They kill themselves or they disappear?
They disappear, I think.
Right, yeah, okay. That's what I remember. That was.
I don't know that because don't they then go join the Ghoul?
They become
in the other world, which is where we kind of pick up on this, because we meet a few of these kind of kid characters that are in the limbo world or whatever it is, that the domain that the Ghoul kind of
press the next kid.
Yeah.
Showing film footage of them killing their folks.
Yeah. So what do you think of that as a premise? As in, because we talk about in the past when we've spoken about Alien and Aliens, and that's probably like the best benchmark there is of how to extend the film that set the precedent, but doing enough to make it its own, but keep it within the same universe.
Yeah.
How do we feel about Sinister 2 in that respect, in this early instance of what they're introducing here?
Well, did it happen in the first film? I thought that's what happened.
I didn't think it
just
did.
One kid that's introduced? Or was it just one kid that's... Because isn't the twist in the first film, I think it's one of the kids, but in fact this demon's been seducing the other kid, is that right?
Yeah, right. That's probably true.
All I remember at the time, these kids, because all these kids individually show their film to this young boy that's part of this new family.
Yeah.
I don't understand, if they're trying to corrupt an innocent soul, which this kid is supposed to be, to do Despicable Black, I don't see how showing footage of them killing families is going to make that kid want to do it. If that kid doesn't have a psychotic bone in his body. Because every time this kid, as we see in this film, every time these spirit kids says, "Oh, look at my film, they show a film of them killing their parents in a really imaginative way," this kid naturally turns away and says, "I don't want to see that anymore."
Yeah.
And that's where the argument ends. So I don't understand how.
No, because he's not the target, though, is he? The target all along is the brother.
The thing was, and they wanted to make that brother jealous. Is that why they were
because I got from it that there was a competitive thing because of the way their father mistreated them, there was always a competitive thing between those two.
Because I originally thought it was they wanted, just to tell the parents at home, it's a mother with two boys.
Yeah.
And the boys are very close in age, to the point where I thought, are they twins? Unidentical twins? I don't know.
Yeah.
But they are. One is the cheat and evil twinning. That's a good one. and the spirits are trying to get the good twin by waking him up in the middle of the night, making him walk downstairs.
They are twins, by the way.
Films. Are they twins?
Yeah.
And the evil twin sees him and he's getting jealous because these spirits aren't seducing him.
Yeah.
And I thought it was because the Ghoul wanted to corrupt a good spirit, a good soul. That was the whole point. Was why the evil twin was not good enough. But I guess it kind of makes sense when they do, because they do say at the end, we want to do more. They said you've done you've said, because the good twin turns his back and says, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's okay. And the head of the evil demon spirit children said, that's okay, you've done your job anyway.
Yeah. And that's because there's something about, I think, in that because he was essentially the good kid, the good twin, was essentially the one that got beaten up by his dad the most.
Yeah, for being weak.
And I think the flip of that is, but because of that, he became strong out of it.
Yeah.
So he was actually stronger than for the other twins, which theoretically the Ghoul knew, and that's why he needed to go that route to get the other kid.
Yes.
Yeah, and like it's interesting too because we got the mother character, so she's like this single mom who's trying to set up a new life away from her abusive husband. And we have
She's trying to run from him because they're in a supermarket and the private detective stalks them. She notices that. She says a safe word where the boys run out and run to her car and to take off. But it's too late. The private detective says, on the phone to the husband, presumably they found them. The one thing I got about that scene, because basically they're running around, they're doing shopping in a supermarket. They're doing the typical thing where the boys want to have this cereal, and she's like, no, put it back, and they're running around. And then she notices the private detective stalking them, so she tells the boys to run to the car. They literally drop everything, run to the car, take off.
Yes.
And they go home, and she tells the boys to play in the backyard, and she goes back to work, because her job is that she restores antiques. And the only thing I thought is, aren't you hungry? You just did grocery shopping, and you would come back with nothing.
Right.
So there's nothing else.
Yeah.
I just thought, anyway, that stuff bugs the shit out of me.
Yeah. So, sorry, go on.
It's like characters in movies when they're really hungry and they start picking at the food, but then something happens and they run out and they don't eat. And I'm like, I don't know about you, but I get hangry very easily.
Yes, you do, Ant.
Yes, you do. I don't care if it's the end of the world. I don't care if aliens are about to invade.
No. What would happen is that you'd storm off and go outside, and then you go, oh fuck, and then you come back in, grab your food, and then run out again.
Yeah, I can't take my chicken schnitzel to go, please.
Yeah.
The aliens can wait 12 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking of I got distracted there because I was thinking of when you were saying the safe word. I suddenly had in my head the image of Sherlock shouting Vatican cameos and then ducking for cover, which has no relevance to Sinister whatsoever. But yeah, came into my head. Sorry, that's the way my weird mind works. But Shannon Sossamon is the lady that plays Courtney, the mum.
And she's the one that you always confuse with the woman who plays Uhura in Star Trek.
Yes, I was about to say that. You beat me to it because I thought that was who it was.
Everybody. Apparently, she gets it a lot.
Yeah, right. But she was in A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger again, bringing him back into it. Yeah. So okay. So she's playing the Courtney character, and as we said, is being stalked by her husband, who has connections with a couple of local sheriffs and stuff. But this is where we get Deputy so and so arriving at the household because he thinks it's vacant, not realising that Courtney's there, basically fixing up the old church, because that's
which is the side of the better of
the
previous family.
Yeah,
and
go on.
I guess we're talking out of order on this one, okay, linear. But the murder of the family in that church was the actual main demon spirit boy. He's trying to seduce the young son from the dark side.
And that was a fucked up murder. That was the one with the rats, wasn't it? You just, oh my god! Up to that point, like the other, I mean, yeah, look, they're all grim murders, but up to that point, I was just like, they're not that bad. And then that one, they're not that graphic. That's right. And then that scene happens, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's awful!" It was the one bit where it made me go, "Oh, maybe this film's not so bad." Oh
my god, that's awful! This movie won't be good.
Yeah.
The thing is, my stepdaughter has 3 rats.
Yes.
And this murder involves rats because what he does, he literally crucifixes the family by slamming steel pikes into their hands and then bolts to the floor. Ties them up in lays them out in a crucifix pattern.
Yeah.
Ties them down, rolls up their shirts so their stomachs are exposed. Ties down metal colanders, and then puts a rat underneath each metal colander. Then he puts hot coals on top of the colanders, so the rats will need to get away from the top of the colander.
Yeah.
So the only way they can get out is by eating through their stomachs.
Yeah.
Of the victims. I just don't think that's. I mean, I think you would probably, as well as the kid. The thing that gets me about these murders, the kids drug the family.
Yeah.
They still have to hold them up and like dads. These kids are quite young, so
yeah.
Like one of them hauls them up. Yeah, it's just not practical that a single kid can do all this stuff. But this kid's bolted his family to the floor, but as well as he could have done it, a person would be able to screw him out of the way so the rat would get out. The rat would try and get out through a gap in the colander first before eating through a person's stomach. That's what I would say.
Okay.
But we should try it on somebody, see how it
Yeah,
goes.
I reckon we need to we'll take it out on the streets.
We should do it to somebody and then go, oh, what do you know? The movie is right.
Yeah. All right, my bad. All right. Obviously, truth to it.
Good. They did more research than I thought they did.
I didn't really think about that, but I just dug it. What was I going to say with that? So, a lot of this is. I don't know about you. I mean, there is another quirky kind of professor character in this too. This is like who's like somebody that's been studying under Vincent D'Onofrio's character, and he tries his best to be a bit odd and off, but I didn't connect with his character at all.
Well, isn't because D'Onofrio's character died researching this or something?
Yeah, I think that's what they may have mentioned, or they were hinting at that, I think.
Yeah.
And this is this kind of, I guess, protege who's picking up the mantle of where Vincent D'Onofrio had left, and he's the one that comes across the radio waves and the weird kind of signals and stuff and beyond.
Is this the infamous radio signals that just say numbers?
Yes.
Which is a real thing if you don't know about this research. There's a radio signal out there where they hear a person's voice just repeating random numbers.
All right.
And nobody knows what it is and what the numbers serve, and they've done movies about it as well. Truly creepy shit.
Cool.
It's probably an espionage thing or something, in a way to get information across.
Yeah.
But it is kind of creepy. But one of it, he plays a recording of a young girl on the tape as she's killing her mum, as she's talking in Norwegian or some shit.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
About the Ghoul and yada yada yada.
Yeah, and not to be confused with that weird transmission of John Lennon going number 9, number 9. Number 9. So that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that. I didn't know. I actually wasn't aware of that, and I'm gonna have to look that up now. And I'm gonna try and listen to the radio to see if I can find it.
There's a who's fucking. You have to cut this bit out. John Cusack is in a film where he's a CIA agent and he has to guard a woman and they both do it in shifts. It's him and a woman, and they relieve another agent and a woman.
Yeah.
And they do it in shifts where they go to the middle of fuck nowhere in England into a radio station, and her job is literally to read out these numbers, and he just protects her.
Okay.
And it's a spy thriller. It's not bad, actually. It's not bad. And yeah, that's it. The CIA transmitting those numbers across all of Europe to their spies and their agents who have a cipher key at their end to literally scribble down the numbers to tell them what they need to do.
Cool. Is that the numbers station?
It's called Number Station. That's right.
Yeah. I'd like to say that I just knew that off the top of my head, but I was actually looking that up.
I can see you're researching that.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I haven't heard of that one, but yeah. But I kind of like those weird little kind of mythology stories, and I know a lot of this, and the Ghoul kind of character himself is resting on a lot of that kind of mythology stuff. And if we just dial ourselves back to the very beginning of the movie, we do see these three people tied up like scarecrows. With sacks on their head in the cornfield, and then they slowly get burnt alive. And it looks like it's 2 adults and 1 child, essentially.
Yes.
And if we watch if those that are familiar with the first film, they probably would presume that we are watching one of these old movies.
Yes.
But obviously there's a bit of a twist to that, which is revealed a bit later on, because it turns out that these characters are the characters the family that we are following.
So it's a premonition in the good twin's mind when he sleeps at night.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll just throw that little seed out there for the moment. So there's lots of this investigations and stuff. So the deputy so and so guy goes off. He's doing his thing, still trying to investigate, trying to get more information about these curious deaths and stuff. He's at the same time, the wife is being persecuted by the ex, and there's a bit of the deputy so and so guy recognises that there's something interesting about the good twin, and that he predicts, or he presumes that the good twin is already seeing things that he cannot explain, and so he's already deputy so and so, being the good detective he is, he's starting to kind of piece things together that there might be stuff already happening, and he tells them not to leave the house
because her first instinct is if the husband's found her, she needs to leave. And he gives her some bullshit legal excuses to not do it, because it means you are a flight risk, which is all bullshit. But the reason, we haven't really touched on that, but the reason he says don't leave is because that's part of the Bagul's thing. He can't, for some reason, he can't actually get you until you leave the house in question. Yes. That's
as long as you stay in the house, then you are still officially protected by whatever force is there. So obviously, so while Deputy so and so is off on one, what I should say is that obviously we have to have a romantic interest, which kind of happens between Deputy so and so and Courtney, as they start to kind of be a little bit interested in one another. I don't know if I bought that relationship really.
It was a bit, to me it was a bit like, let's just chuck it on there.
And he's a bit fumbling and awkward about it, and she's a bit too. And anyway, so he ends up getting called away because of going to see this Professor Protege kid, and that's when you kind of says his whole "just don't leave the house" thing. But obviously, while he's away, the ex-husband turns up and basically kind of threatens them to say that you've got no choice. You have to come with me. I've got the court order to say that you can't. The kids have to stay, essentially. So
it's pretty horrific. It's pretty traumatic. It's grounded in real. And he forces her to come back too because he
that's right.
wants to control her.
Yeah,
and she has to get back because she knows if she doesn't, he's going to kick the shit out of her sons.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it was probably the one moment that's probably the most gripping in that sense from a dramatic point of view. And the tension's there. The guy that plays the husband is suitably thuggish and a nasty piece of work. So it adds to that.
The scenes of the mother trying to pull the son out from underneath the bed. He doesn't want to go. With the deputies who are quite corrupt outside, forcing the issue.
Yeah.
But for that one, it fast forward. Like it moves very quickly and not in a good way. Because then the literally he has dinner at the house with the two kids and the mum, and he's quite threatening at the dinner table.
Yes.
And yells at the weak kid and smears mashed potatoes on his face because he's not eating.
Yeah.
And then Deputy So-and-so turns up to the house because he knows they're in trouble because they've left the house now, so they're going to die. And he kicks the shit out of Deputy So-and-so, and then literally it jump cuts to the older twin, the evil twin has tied up the family already in the cornfield.
Yeah.
A scarecrow. That's a big jump in storytelling.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he's got the cinema on fire. And then, literally, because the good twin was able to get the mum's phone, she was able to text Deputy So-and-so and say, we need your help.
Yeah.
And, it's a text. And so Deputy So-and-so turns up just in the nick of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it, yeah.
Then, that's it. Like, he literally, he knocks over the kid with his four-wheel drive, doesn't kill the kid.
No, I was like, what?
Takes down, he cuts down the good twin and the mother, but the father's been burnt to death already at this point.
Yes.
Because we don't need him anymore plot-wise, so he's dead.
Yeah.
And then they're running in the corn. The little kid chases after them with a sickle, cuts off two of Deputy So-and-so's fingers.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was nasty.
And then chases the mum and the good twin inside a house.
Yeah.
And it's a Deputy So-and-so is the one that eventually knocks him out from behind. I can't remember now.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Sorry, I'm just going to cough. Hold on. Sorry. No, that's right, and it's but the weird thing, the freaky thing about this is where the kid spirits all come out and they start looking for the mum and the
because the kid, the evil twin is filming. He has to film them killing him, and then Deputy So-and-so comes in and smashes the 16mm camera.
Yeah, that's right.
Because you can't film when you can't do murders.
No, that's right.
And then the kid runs upstairs in the attic to try and look for another camera. You're going to get one camera per murder. The Ghoul turns up.
Yeah.
And then sucks the kid into a film screen, and the kid burns alive.
Yeah. For
the mother to see, and then which burns down the house.
Yes.
And then the three of them run out, and the mother's like, "Oh no!" And then and Deputy So-and-so is just his hands being tied up in a washcloth.
Yeah.
Or a tea towel. Well, and he's fine. And then he literally they drop off to his hotel. He needs to get a few things, but stay in the car.
Yeah.
And you just know, okay, well, this is Dakota. Something's going to happen to him.
Yeah, of course.
And that's exactly what happens. He's packing up. He turns around and realizes there's a radio, something on his a ham radio on his deck. And then the Ghoul comes out of nowhere.
I go, all right, how's it going?
He comes in the shot like one of those memes.
Yeah, he does. He pokes his head around the side.
His head in the screen.
Yeah.
So,
hello.
It's just like, hello. It's a bit lame.
It is really lame.
Yeah.
It was a crap ending. And so here's the thing. I know we rocketed through that, and I think it's probably good that we did, because I was really underwhelmed with this movie after watching it. As I said, Sinister, the first Sinister film did leave an impression on me, and I was interested in seeing where Sinister 2 would go. even more interesting because of there's often been talks of more from fans wanting to see an Insidious and Sinister crossover film happen.
Oh, okay.
Which would be kind of cool. So because of that added more fuel to me wanting to watch Sinister 2. Because I'd seen all the other Insidious movies. And yeah, just kind of going, I did like Deputy So-and-so. I felt his character was good. I like that idea of him being the one carrying it on. I just felt the execution was poor. I felt the narrative was rushed. There was no cohesion whatsoever to it. And you know, it just felt really rushed, and there just was no thought into how this story was going to develop or how they were going to extend or expand the universe. I don't know. Did you feel the same, or?
Yeah, to me, it really was the Paul Relation sequel. They couldn't get Ethan Hawke back, obviously, but it was like the B character from the last film.
Yeah.
Usually, these are the sequels. I mean, it's got a $10 million budget, so that's massive for Australian audiences, but for American films, that's nothing.
Yeah.
Until it was, and I kind of, in terms of the plotting and the twist, to me, it was really noticeable. The last reel was really rushed.
Yeah.
It was facts of like that classic thing of like halfway through the film we don't have an ending.
Yeah.
So we've got to wait up for the writer to finish the writing it, or they were like, you know what, let's just editing wise, let's just plow through and finish it off.
Yeah.
So it wasn't great. You probably got the impression that those who were working on it were using it as a stepping stone learning experience. Some of the actors, particularly Sharon Sussman, was doing it for money.
Yeah.
And James Ransom was doing it because it's his first, I assume, big lead.
Film. Yeah.
It didn't. Like I said, you and I talk about sequels about staying faithful to the first one, spirit-wise, but bring something new, and didn't really do that. It was just to me back in the old days. It's a straight to VHS video.
Yeah. That's right. I was
it
just
did
thinking
make a profit of $54 million though, so it has gone into the black. If you take into account that to be in profit, you have to make more than twice as much for a Hollywood film.
Yeah.
Because usually your marketing budget is the same as your film budget, so it has done that more than twice its budget. But you say they're not going to do the third one. Now, why?
No, because like I've seen a lot of. I think a lot. This is what's really interesting, right? Because I think because of the first one, there is still a bit of a fan base there, right? And so because of that, the question still gets raised to Jason Blum about it. And Jason Blum has basically just said, well, based on the poor turnout for the second one, he doesn't really see any future in Sinister. He said, apparently, I think he did sit down with Scott Derrickson to discuss it. So Scott Derrickson, the writer and director of the first feature.
Yeah.
But that's kind of as far as it's gone. And you wonder if the longer you leave it, because they did have grand plans of this being their next kind of franchise, essentially. Like, you know, they'd had the success of Paranormal Activity, and they were hoping this was going to be their next thing.
Yeah.
Now that they've got a huge Michael Myers project going on, as their next kind of franchise, they've also got the Happy Death Day stuff, which is kind of ticking along. Changing genre.
To me, how would you have made Sinister better as a franchise?
I still like the Ghoul I like the mysticism around the Ghoul, and I think that's what is lacking a bit, because he's incredibly secondary in this film.
He is very much.
And like in the first film, he's never really there, but his presence is felt the whole way through it. And and the odd shots, the way you kind of see him in the background, and And they do try to do that a bit in this one, but I don't think anywhere near enough.
It's jump scared.
Yeah. And I was thinking about this, and I said this to you beforehand. Like the meaning of the word sinister, if you look it up in the dictionary, it says giving the impression that something harmful or evil is happening or will happen. And I never felt that in this movie. What's so funny?
I could see you being like a movie executive and like having a meeting with the filmmakers. Okay, let's sit down.
Yeah,
gentlemen. I could see you like with an audio visual thing, and you just click a button, and the dictionary definition of sinister appears on the wall, and I could see you going, "Now let's just read this for a second, shall we?" The definition of sinister, and then you read it out, and then you turn to them and you go, "Have you met this with this film?" I could so see you doing that.
I would.
You're that guy
because it's called Sinister, right? It has to be.
I can see you like them defending themselves, and I can see you literally screaming that at them. Yeah, but it's called Sinister.
and that's why I think the first film, as I said, it resonated with me because it got under your skin. The Ghoul character is in the darkness. He's in the shadows. You never really know where he is, but you know he's always there. And this film it felt too rushed. So I would have loved to explore the mythology, and I may be tapping a bit too much into Candyman territory. But I do like the idea of trying to investigate that a bit more, and then uncovering this dark stuff that comes out of it. I mean, you've always got to have a family at the centre of it, and that's where it's tricky, and then maybe that's where it's the idea of a Sinister 3 is always going to be quite hard. Where do you go from? Where do you go to now? Now that the second one wasn't as impactful. I just which is why I personally don't think we will see a Sinister 3. Because of that. I mean, they just got to go dark, man. There's too many people resting on their laurels and feeding the masses, and doing so it becomes generic and a bit boring. And I think you need to allow those that have those with a creative leaning to be able to be creative, without having their hands tied behind their backs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think for Sinister to be a successful franchise, it had to be about the Ghoul.
Yeah.
Because he was one of the scariest elements in the first film.
I agree.
And secondly, I think the murders had to be gruesome. The murders have to be gruesome. I thought the thing that set me on edge about the first film was that some of those murders were gruesome, others were pretty generic. They're imaginative, but imaginative quickly falls into farce, because you ask yourself, how the hell can a kid string up fully grown adults and do scarecrows and shit like that? So it's tricky, but I think that was the other thing too. The murders had to be really full on, and the only one that is the rats. The other thing too is the film that you really hate, Lights Out, the feature film. That did try and go and tell the witch, the woman, who is she? And it was about that, and that's interesting. That which I think was the right way to go. Just the execution of that film was just really poor. But I think the idea was right.
It just came down to jump scares again, though. That's what bugged me.
Yeah, it became jump scares. It didn't. Yeah, exactly.
And I think to me that's lazy filmmaking.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So I get turned off. Like I just go, oh, there's better ways to, you know. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it. So I say that, or I say all that. I would be interested in seeing another Sinister movie if it was done right. I would be interested in going back down the rabbit hole and discovering the Ghoul all over again. So what does that say? I think there's still something about the mythology, as I said, around that character, and that they're
Sinister's really back to the Ghoul.
Back to Ghoul. Oh, that's bad. Yeah. So anyway, look, it came out on top. You guys voted for it, best horror movie of 2015, and you can tell that I wasn't a huge fan.
So we're going to take over the voting from here on in.
Yeah, we'll see what 2016 happens. Which will be the next.
What's it looking like?
At this stage, there is a front runner.
We won't reveal what it is.
I can't reveal what it is until
but
we
there
reveal
was
what
a
it is.
three-way tie.
It was a three-way tie. Until then, we should probably bow out because we are rambling as we always do. But we do hope that you enjoyed our rambles for good or ill. I'm your host Saul Murte, and I was joined for this podcast by Anthony the Big Cheese U.
See you, bye.
Goodbye.
You're listening to the Surgeons of Horror podcast. Music supplied by Peter Nezik. For more discussions or podcasts, head over to surgeonsofhorror.com or head over to our Facebook and Twitter sites for the latest news and updates.